Hey, welcome, friends and family. Super excited to be here with you again today as KC and I kind of dig in and discover further how to win friends and influence people. Super valuable tool to be able to use, and that's one thing we talk about. You can cut more wood with a sharp axe than you can a dull one.
hmm
And Dale Carnegie helps us to become more sharp in our people skills. One thing he says here right off the bat, and a simple way to make a good first impression. A simple way to make a good first impression. And he says, actions speak louder than words, and a smile says, I like you, you make me happy, and I'm glad to see you. How amazing. Just that.
Right, most certainly, and this is a subject that I happen to be an expert in is how to smile. Right? So, no, I tend to say pretty solemn in mine. So this is
Yeah.
definitely an area of improvement for me, 100%, and it seems like every chapter of this book. Right, um, but yeah, learning how to get yourself through that day to smile. And actually, oddly enough, we had one of these interviews, one of these things we did not too long back. We talked about influencers and like people that do TikTok videos and things like that. And actually, not too long ago, like within a week ago, I read across a video where a gentleman was doing an experiment and he was on like a college campus and he was going around and he said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and as people pass me, he said, I'm going to say like, good morning, or I like your outfit, or, how are you doing, or something like that. But he said, I'm going to do it in a very like, I don't really want to say it, but I'm going to say it kind of
Hmm.
tone.
Hmm.
I'm going to force myself to say it tone. So instead of like, hey, how are you? It was like, hey, how you doing? Or hey, I like your outfit. Not
Hmm.
like there was
Hmm.
no energy behind
No
it.
enthusiasm.
And
Yep,
so,
that's
and
it.
so he shows a video of him walking by 8 or 10 people doing it in that kind of attitude, and nobody acknowledged that he said anything. They just kind of kept their head down, kept walking, whatever else. He said, man, he said, I'm making myself depressed by doing this. He said, I'm going to change. He said, I'm going to start putting some energy behind it.
Wow.
And went
Wow.
by, another 8 or 10 people was like, hey, how you doing? Hey, I like your outfit. And every one of them responded, oh, thank you. Have a great day. And it
Yes.
was just an instant how same words, different energy
Yeah. Yeah.
with that.
8% of what we say is actually picked up. About 28% is our tonality, and then the rest is our body language.
hmm
And so, body language, smile is a big body language.
Most certainly.
And in our profession, a lot of times when we're uh, reaching out, talking to people that are moving here from different states, they can't see us.
Right.
So, that tonality and even smiling on the other side, I think people can feel that.
Most certainly. Yeah.
And it's so you've got to learn how to almost like building a muscle.
hmm
So it doesn't come natural. But he says in here, he says a professor, James V. McConnell, a psychologist at the University of Michigan, expressed his feelings about a smile. People who smile, he said, tend to manage, teach, and sell more effectively and to raise happier children. There's far more information in a smile than a frown. That's why encouragement is a much more effective teaching device than punishment. So, a lot said right there. Casey, who do you think of when you think of somebody that like represents what he's talking about? That person that is smiley, that has maybe become more effective because of that.
Yeah. Well, recently we've got a new agent on the team, Nate, and I believe that he definitely embodies this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think he's always smiling. I call them happy-go-lucky people, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're just happy everywhere they go, and they seem to get lucky where they go because they breathe that in
There
to
you
where they go.
go.
So,
Now there's the equation, right?
yeah,
Happy go lucky.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. So,
So Nate Garcia moved here from San Antonio about 50 days ago.
hmm
He's joined the Elevate community. He did come with some background in sales, timeshares, car sales, and real estate.
hmm
But he's been with us 45 days closed too.
yeah, he has. He's close to. I think he's got three under contract now.
Three
Well,
pending,
four because he got one over the weekend, I believe.
four pending, close to, four pending, 45 days. The man knows how to put a smile on.
hmm
And he makes you feel invited right away, right?
Yes,
Like,
most
I hate to
certainly.
admit this. I walked into the meeting today, to our meeting up there 2 minutes late. And the first person that recognizes me, makes eye contact with me, is Nate Garcia. And he does it by clapping and smiling. And so I didn't feel just horrible. You know what I mean? Because I see I have to see
Hmm.
some enthusiasm. Although I don't feel great about coming in late. Um, so I agree. Nate Garcia is that guy. You had some mentors in your life.
Hmm.
I think David
David Frazier.
was he a bit
Um,
of a smiler? Do you know if he
David
ever?
Frazier most certainly fits this category to
Okay,
a T.
okay,
And I would imagine he's done some studying in this book if I had to guess.
yeah.
Because he's the one. We went through
Strength finders, Clifton
the
Strength
What's in
Finders.
Your Bucket
Yep.
book, that came through him.
Hmm.
So I'm sure that he's also been involved in this book as well, because that's the type of man that he is. David Frazier was a mentor of mine at Tennessee Tech when I went over there for my college degree, and I got to spend 3 years with him. He was there for a total of 3 years, and then he went back to Texas. Um, and has been teaching down there ever since. But in that 3 years, made a wonderful connection with him. But he definitely 100%. He was always smiling. He seemed like he always remembered names.
Mm-hmm.
He just you could tell he really loved just being around people, and he gives back to communities. Fantastic gentleman. So yes, he 100% is one of them as well.
Growing up, was your dad a smiler? Your mom a smiler?
No, not really. Um, I mean, my dad's a kidder,
Yeah.
and that's where my kind of my witty side comes around. A
Yes.
lot of my family are you gotta be very careful how you word things around them because they're gonna flip it back on you. But it's all
It's
a good
humor.
fun. Yeah, nobody's
Yeah.
nobody's
You
out
may
to
not smile
intentionally.
after you say it, but it's funny.
Yeah, and so that's where a lot of the witty banter, I guess, comes around. In that, but no, my dad. He shows more emotion now than he did growing
Hmm.
up.
Hmm.
Definitely has grown into that. Um, a lot of as the last few years as I've gotten older, and maybe I've just noticed it more.
Hmm.
I'm not really sure which one of those play into it, to be honest with you. Um, my mom was usually pretty straightforward most of the time.
Hmm.
I mean, so I guess it's a lot of where this
Yeah.
my demeanor comes from is very, you know,
Do you feel that maybe the generations before us, men were probably maybe led a little less to be smiley and a little more to be tough and to kind of wear that macho stance a little stronger?
I think in a lot of cases they were.
Hmm.
I think it was looked at as being and I think still is in a lot of ways, the cornerstone of the family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
It should be.
yeah,
And
100%.
should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in order for the family to be strong, they had to be strong.
Right.
And that's kind
And
of
no,
where that played out.
and no disrespect to a female,
Yeah.
right? Like I think,
Right.
I think a good woman hopes that she finds a man that can be a
Right.
cornerstone. Unfortunately, I think a lot of these women have been chiseling away and saying, I'm not really sure this thing's a cornerstone, you know. But I think any good woman will respect and appreciate a man that can be that for the family. And sometimes putting out a smile doesn't show. But he tells a story in here a little bit about how a
Yeah.
man and a woman, and he never did smile, and he was always
Yeah.
kind of, come home, get done his routine, but did everything kind of just without a smile and without much enthusiasm, much as the story you're sharing.
Yeah.
And he's went through these courses, and he said, okay, I'm going to practice it. And so he comes back and he starts smiling and he gets interested and asks her questions about her day. And before long, his marriage had did almost a 180 with just some very simple techniques here.
Right.
Um, so I think that we'd be a lot happier. Unfortunately, Casey, I've heard some statistics that I didn't quite understand when I was first hearing these statistics. It said that about 4 to 6% of people are likely to move if their neighbor had a different political view than them. So 4 to 6% likely to move. And I'd keep hearing after that they would say something like "love your neighbor." I'm like, it's kind of interesting. I couldn't imagine if my neighbor, and you got townhouses and stuff. We've grown up in the country.
Hmm.
I don't even
Right.
see my neighbors really, but I get it. If you lived in a townhouse or something like that.
Right.
But unfortunately, I think what they were saying without saying it is if you're a husband and a wife and you don't vote the same way, there's a good chance there's going to be a divorce,
Well, a house divided.
and
Right.
then
It's hard to
comes
stand.
real estate sales.
Hmm.
So unfortunately, it's a way of being prepared for more real estate sales because husbands and wives are going to be unsettled and they're going to separate. So, how much more valuable is it to just kind of smile and to learn how to work your way through a tough time than to argue and stay bitter and put that frown on your face?
Right. It's there's a lot to be said with the demeanor that comes in here. There's a quote in here from Lincoln that says most folks are about as happy as they make their minds up to be.
Mm,
You know,
so accurate.
and 100% so accurate, right? I mean, you can, they say, you've heard that expression, you must have woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and really what that means is you just woke up and chose to be bitter.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've heard Lucas say before, and I know I forgot where it originated from, but uh, it says, there's all these flavors in the world. You chose to be salty. I don't understand, you know, why
That's
why
good.
that has to be,
Yeah,
and
I love it.
it's 100% true, and again, in speaking with this, I'm speaking to myself, and I'm sure that you feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, it's all in your mindset and how you're
Mm-hmm.
going to view the day.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a mountain in front of you and you can see it as a challenge to try to get over it,
Mm-hmm.
or you can see it as an obstacle that you can't get past and you're just going to stay at the bottom. I mean, it's all in how you view things.
I had a tough neighbor growing up, and he made fun of me. He could call me Bucky. That was the nickname he gave me, Bucky, because of my front teeth.
Oh,
And
like a
I
name.
even went to the dentist to try to find out because I was that insecure about it. They said that they'd have to break my jaw and move it forward. It said really I didn't have an overbite, I had an underbite. And back then, unfortunately, I got in enough fights that I thought, no, I can't be going for no broke jaw. That
Hmm.
just ain't gonna work. So I decided not to do it. But it made it hard for me to smile for a long time because I was so self conscious
Yeah,
of
I could
of my
understand.
neighbor
Yeah,
calling me Bucky.
yeah.
And so I had some nicknames for him too. But anyhow, I eventually got over that. And I really realized somewhere along the line that when I was nervous, if I put a big smile on my face, how much better I felt. And generally, if I was a little nervous, they'd smile back. I'll give you an example of one day a smile, man, really helped me. I was a youth pastor at Door Methodist Church, and they invited me to speak at the FCA in Sparta. And at that time, it had grown. You'd probably have 80 to 100 people at the KFC in Sparta at the FCA. And I was growing that youth program. We had started at 8 and got to 80, and we brought in less than a lot of kids. Man, some of these kids I just absolutely loved. Kimberly, Kim Dockham was one of those girls that was in our youth group. Beth, Holly, they were just amazing, precious girls. And most of those kids were amazing, precious. Some weren't, but for the most part,
Yeah,
man, they were all amazing
I
kids.
understand.
And I just loved kind of, being able to see them get together and get in there and learn about the word and get around other believers and grow that community. It was so fun, man. But also, I dealt with a lot of insecurities. I was a very nervous person, still am today. I still deal with some of those fears. But um, they chose me to speak. And I'm fixing to get up there and speak in front of all these kids. And at that time, I'm really working focused on growing that youth group. And I
Hmm.
get nervous, man. Like I feel my stomach just
Yeah.
drop. And I'm thinking, oh no, I am going to have a daggum panic attack right here in front of all these kids. And it was so embarrassing. And then all of a sudden, man, I look across the room, and there's Kim Dockham, one of our top girls in our youth group at that time. She was a great leader. She was evangelistic, brought a lot of people. Today, she's still an amazing lady, married to an amazing man, Brandon Weaver, and big helps out tremendously at Life Church. They're a great, powerful couple. So thankful for Kim that day because Kim did something that just changed my whole perspective that day. And she just looked up and she just smiled. Simply put a smile on her face. And I do not know what happened, but when I connected with that smile, all the kind of fear went away. And I just focused on that smile, that one
Hmm.
person in that group.
Yeah.
And it took me just about 30 seconds. I got over my jitters and then I began to smile again.
Yep.
But it took that. So man, I seen that day that a smile can encourage people so much more, because I bet a lot of people could see I was nervous and they were probably thinking, oh gosh, is this dude fixing to choke out? I think there would have been a lot of people that would have felt bad for me. But when I looked up and I seen somebody smiling, Just happened to be Kim. I'll just never forget that, man. It
Oh, 100%.
gave
Yeah.
me the courage to go out there, and it ended up being phenomenal.
Yeah.
But man, just having that one person change that room, change that atmosphere. So, guys, our challenge to you this week is if you, it may not come natural, maybe it doesn't seem like the right thing to do, maybe it even seems fake. And I'm sorry to you if it does feel fake to smile. That's probably been some work in your past that just wasn't maybe 100% accurate. But if you can learn how to put a big smile on your face and be genuine, not a fake, not a phony smile, but a real smile, introduce yourself, greet people with a smile, look them in the eye. My son asked me the other day, he said, like, how do you do an introduction? And I thought, son, that's a great question. You look them in the eye, you smile, and you shake their hand, and you introduce yourself. You say, "My name is." It's powerful. A smile can change the atmosphere. It can change a whole day. It can change a relationship maybe that ain't feeling real good right now. With a father and a daughter, a mother and a son, a husband and a wife. Give them a smile. Give them that. It don't cost you anything to smile, and it's such a free gift. It's something that you can give away. It costs you nothing. Hope you all have a great week. We sure do appreciate you. Thank you.